suicide is the biggest killer of men under 50 in the UK and the US now, which is a terrible statistic. I had a burning desire to do something in this space. And I joined Oneday because I really needed the help in the tech. So we raised £2.5 million. My co-founder is Bear Grylls, so we are still the first mover in this space, which is great. Men seem to use the app a lot, and they write to us regularly, unsolicited, and say how much it's helped them with their lives. And that's kind of really the thing that gets you through every day, and that's the reason we're doing it. I'm Neil Smith, and I run the company Mettle, which is a mental fitness app for men. My background is I'm a TV producer. I used to run some big TV production companies, oversee shows like The Apprentice and Grand Designs, and lots of shows for Netflix. I've always been passionate about communicating big, important ideas to massive audiences. I personally am really keen on the kind of wellness space, so I meditate every day, use breath work, self-hypnosis, but I noticed that a lot of my mates weren't using those tools that are available to them, and actually men in general were in the midst of a male mental health crisis whereby suicide is the biggest killer of men under 50 in the UK and the US now, which is a terrible statistic. And there was a lot of communication around men need to talk, so men have a problem kind of sharing their problems. And I thought, okay, well, could I bring some of my TV skills of communication and help with this issue around male mental health, and use some of these things that I use, meditation, breathwork, self-hypnosis, and create a toolkit that would give men a practical set of tools that they could use to improve their mental fitness and their mental health without them needing to talk. So if there's a problem with them not wanting to talk, it's like, okay, well, the charities and other people, and we're working on it too, we should all be encouraging men to talk about their issues. But in the meantime, can we give them something really simple that meets them where they are, which is where are they? Well, they're on the phones, and gives them, some practical things to use every day to keep mentally fit. So that was kind of the idea behind Mettle, It's not so much that I wanted to become an entrepreneur, it's just that I had a burning desire to do something in this space. So I really wanted to use my skills that I'd developed over decades working on TV and bring them to another area in order to kind of do some good in the world, for want of a kind of less cheesy phrase. And the only way I could do that was by becoming an entrepreneur. So actually, I left my really big corporate job, if you like, and set up my own small company to focus on ideas that did good in the world that were delivered through content. So we're still a content business, even though it's an app. We're a tech business, but we're a publisher of content. The original company that I set up was to do TV productions and digital ideas, all based around kind of bringing important subject matters, in this case male mental health, to mass audiences. But I became, I guess, obsessed with just doing this one particular thing, which was creating an app. From at the start, I think it'd be bigger than an app. We want to be the go-to brand for male wellness. But to start with, we needed to create an app. And so that sort of drove me, I guess, to become an entrepreneur. So if there's 20,000 wellness apps out there in the market, and none for men, why is that? And why aren't men using the apps that are already available? So Calm and Headspace, for example, the market leaders skew 80% female. So a lot of ordinary guys who I want to reach won't use those products. So we asked like a couple of hundred of them why, which I did with my Oneday mentor, Steph. We interviewed like a couple hundred men. Why aren't you using the products that are available on the market? And the answers that came back were threefold. Too female, too hippie-ish, there's nothing wrong with me. Now, all those objections make men feel vulnerable. So too female, well, I feel vulnerable going in that space because it's just for women, so I'm not going to go there. Too hippie-ish, well, that's making me feel vulnerable. There's nothing wrong with me. Men hate talking about their mental health in general. So therefore that makes them feel vulnerable to talk about their mental health. So we're like, okay, well, so what we need to do is remove the barriers. So Too Female, well, Mettle is an app that's just built for men. We also co-designed it with Imperial College. We've been working with the NHS and with the founders of November, and all the evidence actually shows that mental health interventions, gender-specific mental health interventions, work better for men. So there's a really good scientific reason for doing it as well. Number two, too hippie-ish. Well, I'm a bit of a hippie. I love to go and sit up the top of a mountain in India and meditate all day, but most blokes don't need to do that. So we're really straight talking and science-backed. So, my co-founder is Bear Grylls, who's a well-known TV adventurer. He's written 2 books on mental fitness. He's kind of, the face of the app in some ways. We've got Dr. Alex George, who's the UK mental health ambassador, and Paul McKenna, who's the world's leading hypnotist, along with Chibs Okereke, who's our meditation coach, and Jamie's our breathwork coach. They're all kind of really straight-talking guys who make you feel comfortable straight away. So that takes away that second barrier of, oh, it's not for me, it's too hippie-ish. Third objection, there's nothing wrong with me. I've been, part of the reason that I got into this, I suffered from depression in my 20s, and I was, helped through it, partly through my meditation, but also really through clinical hypnotism. But I was one of those men who didn't go to the doctors, didn't tell anybody about it, and suffered in silence for a long time. So I can really empathise with that. So men don't like talking about their mental health. So in general, in our app, we're talking about mental fitness. So we're trying to frame it in a positive way. Yeah. So we're very outcome focused. So whereas other apps on the market, I guess, will be meditation apps, we're a mental fitness app. Yeah? So meditation is just one of the tools that you can use, along with breathwork and self-hypnosis. And we say that don't come to the app to get better at meditation, come to the app to get better at life. So meditation is the tool that will help you, or breathwork or self-hypnosis. Those are the tools that will help you overcome anxiety, stress less, sleep better, have more confidence, focus, energy. And that's how we kind of frame it. So we're kind of need state focused. So you come to work on your need states rather than to get better at meditation. So I guess those are the kind of crucial differences. We're built entirely for men, so it's all clinically checked by a clinical psychiatrist, and we're kind of gamified. So we've got Mettle minutes, so you build up your minutes, and you get up levels and stuff, and streaks obviously are in there, and we've got shorter content because actually men, from the research shows, favour shorter content. So it's short, easy to use, easy to consume content. So I think those are the kind of key differences, but also the reason behind those differences and why we're different to anything else out there on the market. So we are still the first mover in this space, which is great. We raised a £2.5 million pre-seed round, just based on the idea, which is fantastic, from really good, engaged angels. And we spent that money on building the app. We took 7 months to build it. We released it. We're now 6 months, almost. No, 6 months into. We're now 6 months since the launch of the app, and we're revenue generating. Still low revenues at the moment, because we're still experimenting, getting to as close as we can to product market fit. But we have, like 1,500 paying subscribers. We have like a number of businesses either trialing or paying for the app. So we're in a good place. And what's most important is that men use it and they like it. So we've got great engagement rates, great retention rates. Men seem to use the app a lot, and they write to us regularly, unsolicited, and say how much it's helped them with their lives. And that's kind of really the thing that gets you through every day, and that's the reason we're doing it. So I guess, I started, I was a TV producer, as I say. I set up a company which held TV and digital ideas, and then this one was the one that I really wanted to focus on, so I shut my other company and set this up with its own individual company and just went full-time on this because I was so passionate about it. However, my background is not tech. And it's a tech product. So I was thinking, okay, well, how's this going to work? I met somebody playing tennis who was a mentor at Oneday, who recommended Oneday to me. And so I kind of signed up. I was assigned a mentor, Steph Hamill, who was brilliant. And, pretty soon she kind of got really behind the idea and actually kind of joined our team as well. So she was one of the kind of founding members of Mettle. and we worked through that Oneday process together. Yeah. So I joined Oneday even though I'd already run businesses. So I'd run a number of businesses before. This was my first time as an entrepreneur, setting up my own business. I've worked in kind of scale-ups, I guess you would call them before, and large businesses, running them. And I joined Oneday because I really needed the help in the tech arena, and I really needed help in kind of following that process of going from an idea to a reality in a kind of startup world. Yeah, so I don't know what expectations I had of joining Oneday, but it exceeded them, I would say. I think their process was very strong, particularly the practical tools. Obviously there's working with a mentor, which is always great, but the practical tools, the practical steps that take you through, okay, do this, then do that, then do the next thing. Those were the bits that I really, really needed. Obviously I perhaps needed less kind of business coaching than other people. What I needed was kind of practical help. What do I do? What is A and what's B and what's C? And that really, really was incredibly useful. And then the mentoring support with it, which helps you gain that confidence and speak to somebody with experience who can help you kind of overcome your obstacles. So yeah, it was a very rewarding experience. Yeah. So right now we're in a really good place. We've proved our thesis that if you build something that's just for men, then they'll come and they'll use it and they'll benefit from it. So we get amazing testimonials every day from men saying how much it's helped them, how much it's improved their lives, improved their relationships, got them through tough times. And that's just incredibly edifying and really kind of supports the team to carry on the work they're doing. We've got great retention, great engagement. Now is the time, I think, to start looking at another fundraising round in order to get the money to really kind of accelerate the marketing push. And so that's kind of going to be our focus over the next 6 months to get that money. And that money will allow us to really push into the United States, I think, in a really big way in terms of advertising, and build out the B2B, the business-to-business sales within the company as well. So that's the kind of medium-term plan. The long-term plan is to become the world's biggest men's wellness brand. I think there's nothing in the space. There's a massive opportunity. We're trying to build a community, which is part of our growth plan. We are currently an app, but there's opportunities for other products, physical products, events. And yeah, we really want to kind of become synonymous with male wellness. Yeah. There was never a time I wanted to give up. I mean, I get spurred on by difficult situations, and that's what really, really drives me. I really enjoy them, perversely. And so when people said, oh, it's a really tough time to raise, you're not going to be able to raise that much money, it's the worst time ever to raise in tech, I'm like, great, bring it on, because it's much better to start in a down environment than an up environment. And so nothing ever put me off. It is difficult. There's loads of obstacles. Tech is difficult. User acquisition is difficult. Business to consumer is difficult. But difficult is good. If we can get through those hurdles, then there's a huge market there and a lot of men who need helping. So it's worth doing. Yeah. So I guess the biggest piece of advice, or the best piece of advice, but I'm not even sure whether it's a piece of advice that I could give to kind of people starting out is, to coin a Nike term, just do it. There's loads of great ideas out there, but they're meaningless and worthless unless they are turned into reality. Yeah, and to turn them into reality, you have to start. You have to just get started. You have to actually do it. And I think that's, I think it's a bit of a cliche, but that first step is the hardest step. And it's like, but if you have an idea, you don't necessarily need to risk everything. You can start small and test it through a system like Oneday. It's a really good way of doing it. Validate your idea and de-risk it to a certain extent before going all in, if you like. But you have to start. You have to start.